Don't be mean. Don't be a hater.
Dude, you know how much crap they give me for the 5-0?
Like, I have done it like 6 times before.
All right, let's get started. Okay, need a good color marker here. All right, so what in the world? All right, we're talking about this thing called parametrics, right? What is a parametric? It's not a paramedic. Different word. It's a parametric. Okay? Not that. A little different. All right, so it's a parametric equation. So what does it mean to be a parametric equation? What I like to think of is I like to imagine a little ladybug, right, that is on the coordinate plane. And the little ladybug starts somewhere and then just starts walking along the coordinate plane, right, in some path that the ladybug is going along, okay? And as the ladybug moves along this path, she starts at time 0, and she has a certain coordinate when she's at time 0, right? And then she keeps moving along the path, and at time 1 second, she has a new coordinate. And then at time 2 seconds, she has another coordinate, and at time 3 seconds, another one, and at time 4 seconds, another one. So what the parametric equation does is it's based on time, okay? But it gives you both the x and the y coordinate based on t, or time. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like a moving thing. And so you're going to get 2 equations to start. What's happening here with my... Hopefully that's working. So parametric equations, you get 2 equations. One is the equation for x, and the other is the equation for y. I don't know why it's doing this. Sorry. It's doing this weird movement thing. All right, let's go with that. Okay. One is an equation for x in terms of t, and one is an equation for y also in terms of t. So first step would be to complete a table. And you just start with time equals 0 and plug in a 0 to both of your x equation and your y equation. So if x equals 2t and y equals t squared plus 5. And so when I take a 0 and I plug it in here, 2 times 0 is 0. When I take a 0 and I plug it in here, 0 squared plus 5 is 5. Go ahead and complete that whole table. All right, are my numbers correct? Double check that I added, yeah, subtracted, multiplied correctly. Okay, so what this is giving us is that at time 0, the coordinate is 0, 5. All right, that's my x and my y. At time equals 1, the ladybug has now moved to the coordinate 2, 6. There's not really a ladybug, you guys know that, right? At time 2, the ladybug has now moved to 4, 9. At time 3, they've moved to this. And what they're doing is they're tracing out some function, okay? So I like to actually sketch the graph first. I like to do C first, and then I'll go to B. And let's see what this graph looks like. So we need our y's to get up to 30. And I need my x's to get up to 10. Okay, so 0, 5, just kind of a sketch here. 2, 6, 4, 9, 6, 14, 8, 21, and 10, 30. Okay, as I sketch those, for parametrics, you can connect them, okay, but there's a direction, right? Because I started down here at t equals 0, and then I went to t equals 1, and then I went to t equals 2, and t equals 3, and t equals 4, and t equals 5. And so the direction starts at 0 and is moving this way. So I put arrows on my graph. So parametrics, when you graph them, need to have some arrows along them to show which direction. And I also like you to label the points with the time value as well. So time equals 0, time equals 1, time equals 2, 3, 4, 5, however many you have, and then the arrows showing the direction in which it's going.
How many arrows do you need, like,
Doesn't matter.
between each point?
I don't care. Just a few. Just enough arrows to show that you know its direction. Some people like to put one at each point, other ones at the end, at the beginning. Okay, all right. Just enough that I can see the direction, okay? All right, so there is a function that will now relate these points. So I could see like, well, what will happen at time equals 25? And I could just like plug this in, right? So there's a function, and so what we'll do then is we'll go to B here, which is eliminate the parameter t and express y as a function of x. All right, so this is just substitution. So what you're going to do is you're going to solve the first function for t. So I'm going to take the first function, which was x equals 2t, and I'm going to solve it for t. How do I solve that for t? Divide by 2, right? So t equals x over 2. Okay, so I solved it for t. And now I'm just going to do substitution. I'm going to substitute that into the second equation. So what was my second equation? Y equals t squared plus 5. So I'm going to take that, t equals x over 2, substitute it in for the t here. Now I'll have y equals x over 2 squared plus 5. You can kind of simplify this, work it out if you want to, right? So what does this give me? Y equals x squared over 4 plus 5. You can leave it like that. What kind of an equation is this? Well, it's x squared, right? So that's a quadratic. So this would be a parabola. So if I look back at my graph, well, this is part of the parabola, you can see, right? So what the parabola would do is it would come down and then it would go back over here, right? So this is just that one section of the parabola. Does it make sense what it mean by eliminate the parameter? Basically, I got rid of the t, and now I just have an equation relating y and x. Yes?
Did you ever do it like starting with y?
You would, but then you'd have x relating y. It just would be more work in the end. And so you would have x equals something, something, something in terms of y, and you would have to move stuff around to get y by itself. As long as your final example has y as a function of x, or your final answer. Does that make sense? Okay, there is a way to do these on the calculator. So you can check them and take a look at your calculator and see. And it's a mode thing. So it's under mode, you're going to go to parametric. So if you go to mode, and you have all these choices. The one that we are most often in here is function, F-U-N-C, right? At the starting Friday, we're going to do polars. Okay, so you're going to see what that mode will look like. But for today, we're going to do this PAR, which is parametric. So if you go to mode parametric, and then you go to your y equals, since it knows it's parametric, it's changed my y equals. Look how smart that is, right? And it gives you two equations, one x equation, one y equation. And they're both in terms of t. And so I just type in that equation. I do 2, and you don't have to do alpha t. See that x button that we usually use for x? Notice the second letter there is t. So it knows because I am in parametric mode, if I press this button right here, it's going to give me a t this time. So smart. And that was my first equation. And then my y equation is t squared plus 5. Now, my window looks a little different. So let's go in and choose the correct window so our graph will work. So my window, my t is going from 0 to 5 in this case. I went from up to time 5. Your t step can just be 1. My x min was, I'll do 0 to 10. My x gal can be 1. My y min, I'll do 0 to 30. And then it should, there we go, look the same as ours did. Now, what the calculator is not going to do is it's not going to give you the arrows. It's not going to give you the points on there, right, anything like that. Okay, questions about, oh, the t-step, yeah, and here, if you want to switch that t-step to a smaller one, it's the same idea. Yeah, it gives you the same thing. Sometimes that'll make a difference when you're doing the other ones. Questions? No? Yeah, Carolina, go ahead.
Okay, mine's kind of like really zoomed out.
Yeah. So go to your window. Let's change your window. So go to window. Make sure your window looks like those. So do 0 to 5, t step 0.1, and then 0 to 10, x scale 1. And then I did 0 to 30 for y. Yeah, you don't need to do it. Just because and you know what I'm doing is I'm basing it on our window that we used here. Right? We did 0 to 10 and 0 to 30 because those were our points. And 0 to 5 was our t. Did it work now? Okay.
Wait, this isn't working.
That's fine. Let me come find it, you guys. Hold on. Let me pause my video.